This is Tartarus, the labyrinth that reveals itself during the dark hour.
Gary Sue just had to get transferred to a school that does that, didn't he?
Labyrinth? What are you talking about? What happened to our school?
Once the dark hour passes, everything returns to normal.
And school life goes back to the way it was.
This is the nest you were talking about?
Yes, every high schooler's dream. School being confirmed to be a nest of evil.
But why? Why'd our school turn into a giant tower? You don't know either?
Yeah, no one seems to know why this school in particular. There's something mysterious going on here.
No.
I'm sure it's complicated. Who cares anyway? It's not like it would change our minds about fighting.
Well, I'd care if the school I was attending transformed into a nest of evil at night.
Well, maybe now we'll find out. Mitsuru and I have only gone in to take a peek. This'll be our first time exploring it.
So, how do you know it's not gonna just kill us instantly on going in or anything like that?
Exciting, isn't it? There has to be some sort of clue in here about the Dark Hour.
Akihika, I respect your enthusiasm, but you won't be accompanying us today.
Like I said, we're technically only 4 members at this point due to the injury.
I know, you don't have to remind me.
As much as I'd like to have him on our side too, he seems to be quite the expert at fighting shadows. Basically, we're gonna have to learn the ropes ourselves. No Jagan to help us. You'll see a couple of structures around here that look kind of interesting.
Whoa. It's just as cool on the inside.
But it sure is creepy.
This is only the entrance. The labyrinth lies beyond the doorway at the top of the stairs.
Huh, entrance of Tartarus, and I don't see Cerberus around anywhere.
First, we'll have you 3 get a feel for this place.
Just the 3 of us to start.
Why don't you go have a look around?
What? By ourselves?
We're not asking you to go very far. And I'll be feeding you information from here.
So, for this mission, Mitsuru will be serving as our mission control. You've always got to have one when you're exploring paranormal areas in a Persona game.
So you two didn't plan on coming in the first place?
That's right. We're also going to appoint a leader to make any necessary decisions.
Huh, I wonder who that's going to end up being.
For real? One of us? Oh, me, pick me.
Yeah, anyone who says that is probably not going to get picked as a leader, sorry.
You're in charge.
Wait, why him? He doesn't look like a leader.
Because he's the main character, and he's also a stew, so everyone would pick him as the leader immediately.
But he has fought them before.
Though logically speaking, Yukari does have a point here. He's the only one of us who's actually fought them before.
Seriously?
That's true, but there's another reason. You two. Can you summon your persona without any difficulties like he can?
That's a good point. The last time Yukari tried to do that, she hesitated. And I don't think we've ever seen Junpei try.
Yeah, of course I can.
I think so.
These are shadows we're talking about here. Without your persona, you're screwed.
Put bluntly, but that is basically how you sum it up.
I'm aware of that.
We've heard that sound before. And the blue of this door looks vaguely familiar. I think we know where this leads. And this door is going to be very, very, very important to us. Yep, we're back here again.
I've been waiting for you. The time has come for you to wield your power. The tower that you are about to venture into.
You wouldn't know anything about it, would you?
How did it come to be? For what purpose does it exist? Regrettably, you are not yet capable of answering these questions.
I didn't ask if he was capable of answering these questions, I asked if you were.
That is why you must be made aware of the nature of your power.
This is the third visit that Igor mentioned, the one where we'd come on our own volition, and this is where we finally realize what this room really is. About that door.
It leads here, although no one but you can see it.
That must have been weird for everyone else, because Gary Sue just walked up to nothing and disappeared.
Your power is unique.
We already kind of guessed that by now.
It's like the number 0. It's empty, but at the same time holds infinite possibilities.
This is also related to the Fool card in Tarot, which is numbered 0.
You, my boy, are able to possess multiple personas and summon them as needed.
We got a brief taste of that in that earlier cutscene. Orpheus turned into a different persona. This is a power that's unique to Gary Stu, at least in this game. He has the ability to switch between different ones, and that's a major mechanic of this game. And by major, I mean absolutely vital. Pretty much a very, very large portion of this game is about that.
And when you have defeated your enemies, you will see the faces of possibility before you.
This is going to make sense later, so don't think too hard about this now.
There may be times when they are difficult to grasp, but do not fear. Seize what you have earned.
He's describing something very simple in cryptic terms, you'll see.
Your power will grow accordingly. Be sure to keep that in mind.
And what that means is we'll level up as we fight enemies.
My spare time will soon be scarce.
Oh boy, will it be. We're going to be coming back here a lot.
But please, come again of your own accord. I'll tell you then about my true role, the manner in which I can best assist you.
Igor's true role is going to play a very important part, not just in battles, but also in the social sim aspect of this game. And in this Max Social Link run, there's going to be a lot of important stuff I need to explain.
Until then, farewell.
Hey, are you alright?
And here comes the obligatory "we saw you walk off into nothing and disappear" speech.
Yeah, what's up? You look like a zombie.
Yeah, they wouldn't really believe us if we said this, but we can try.
Huh? What door?
Man, are you loco?
Have you been nodding off? You seem kind of out of it.
Well, that place was a place that we go to in our dreams, but this time it doesn't seem to be a dream.
Dude, you're supposed to be our leader. Get your head in the game.
Yeah, leaders just don't walk off towards invisible doors no one else can see and just disappear for ages.
Come on, let's go.
Except in this game, that's exactly what leaders are going to do, frequently. Trust me when I say that door is going to be a very, very frequently used thing. So, this is the first time in the game where we can actually open the pause menu. If you tried to press triangle before, nothing would happen. This clock here is a save point. By pressing triangle, we open the pause menu and can see our stats here. We're level 2, we've got HP and SP, we're in good condition, I'll explain that when it becomes relevant. We have level 2 Orpheus of the Full Arcana as our persona, who we can check in more detail by going into our persona list. And these are the stats that we saw before, but we can see that at level 6 Orpheus will learn Tarunda, which is a debuff spell. Buffs and debuffs are really vital in this game, trust me, so that's actually a very good thing to have. Equipment, we can see we have that rapier Yukari gave us, and everything else is fairly standard. This portable music player doesn't do anything. It's just like the placeholder accessory slot. We can view detailed status of our 3 social stats: Academics, Charm, and Courage. Courage in particular is going to be very important early on. We can also check our social links and notice that the only one we have now is the Full Arcana at rank 1. We can see here this represents our bond with Seas, the group that fights shadows. And we can see very brief descriptions of all of the people in the group. Akihiko's a boxing champ, which explains why he's so obsessed with fighting and why he's so good at it. Mitsuru's apparently the executive's daughter, something we didn't know about her before. We also have a system here where we can view a few interesting things, like check side quests, check something we don't know about yet, view important terms, in other words, pretty much everything that got highlighted in green. Configure options, and there's also a calendar. This calendar can be quite useful. We can see there was the opening ceremony, this was the week where we were out for, and we've got a holiday coming up. You can also see these moon phases marked. I'm not going to say anything about that for now. So, that bike is Mitsuru's, apparently. What that means is they're essentially both level 1. We're going to have to play the leader here. So, yeah, this is basically just training wheels time for the moment. Now, when you talk to your party members in the lobby of Tartarus, you can check their status. Being a member of the archery club, Yukari's armed with a bow. And she also has a persona. Hers is Io, a figure from Greek mythology who was seduced by Zeus, and Zeus's jealous wife turned her into a cow as punishment. Fittingly, she is weak to thunder. I'll talk more about these people's personas later. If we check Junpei, he has an imitation katana, and his persona is Hermes, the messenger of the gods in Greek mythology. You'll notice a very definite Greek theme to all of the personas in this game. Well, at least all of the main characters' personas. Again, I'll explain their personas a bit later. Now is just more of a tutorial to how this place works in general. Here's some kind of device we've never seen before. We don't know what it does yet. And we've basically examined everything we can, except gone in here. At the moment, we have no reason to actually go in here yet. It's best that I explain what this place is later. For now, we can just go to the save point. I highly recommend that you save every time you venture into Tartarus, because like many RPGs, getting a game over here is going to set you back to your last save. So, I recommend that you save. Also, I also recommend always save before entering in the Velvet Room and doing stuff there, but there's a different reason for that. We've pretty much done everything we can here. There's nothing left to do but to head up these stairs and get ready. Yes, we are. Let's move out. Our first Tartarus exploration. And every time we see one of these screens, I always think of a Wily Castle map screen for some reason.
So, this is it, huh?
Yep, this is what this place looks like on the inside.
I hope I don't get lost.
Yeah, it can be easy to in a place like this. It's essentially a giant maze. Also, that stuff on the floor that looks like blood, that's probably not actually blood, but, so yeah.
You all hear me.
Don't get too creeped out.
Whoa. Is that you, Senpai?
I'll be providing audio backup from here on out.
Wait, you mean you can see inside here?
It's my persona's ability.
She has a support-oriented persona at this point.
I'd like to join you, but the structure of Tartarus changes from day to day.
So, this is your basic introduction to how this game's dungeons work. This is a typical dungeon crawler where the layout of every floor is randomly generated, and even if you explore the same floors again, their layout will be randomly generated again. It'll change every single time you come here, basically, so no guide can really tell you how to go about exploring each individual floor.
That's why outside support is imperative.
In other words, that's why a minimap is imperative. We'll be seeing that soon.
Well, that makes me feel a whole lot better.
Yeah, not only is this place really weird and has, like, blood stuff appearing everywhere, but it also changes all the time.
Now, based on your current location, you can expect to encounter enemies at any minute.
Of course we can.
They shouldn't be too tough, but proceed with caution. Practice makes perfect.
So, well, it's tutorial time.
Right.
Got it.
And silent protagonist says nothing.
Why is she always like that?
Still distance. Anyway, it's finally time to actually start exploring this place, though we don't really have free reign to explore at this point. This is pretty much mostly a tutorial. What she's basically saying is that if you lose now, it's still going to be a game over. We've got a few scripted battles to go through, but first we have a chest in front of us. Or, looks more like an attaché case, but it's a chest. That'll give us a medicine. Let me just check what that is briefly. Slightly restores an ally's HP, pretty obvious in what it does. But your teammates can actually use these in battle too. Now, it's a good idea to look at the minimap. This thing reveals itself as you move, and it's generally a lot easier to navigate, I find, if you just look at the minimap more than the regular screen, because you don't really know what's coming if you're just looking at the normal layout of this place. But, right there, Shadow 10 o'clock direction, as the really stuck-in-your-head song says. So, like in a lot of RPGs these days, you can swing your weapon outside of the combat screen. If you manage to hit an enemy before it sees you,
Takuba has informed me about your power, but nevertheless, you have minimal combat experience.
okay, normally hitting an enemy before it can see you can give you an advantage in battle, but this is just a tutorial, so we're not getting it at this point.
Would you like me to explain the basics of battle?
I'll let her go over it at this point. Plus, it means we get to hear more awesome Tara Platt voice acting.
The primary offensive options available to you in battle are attack and skill.
Speaking of which, get used to your navigating having a good voice, because that might not last for the whole game.
Attack corresponds to the weapon you've equipped, while skill relates to your persona's abilities.
We pretty much already knew that from the introductory battle.
Those skills consume either stamina or spiritual power. They tend to have a greater effect.
Physical attacks cost HP to use, while spells and magic cost SP.
Use whichever option best suits the situation. Keep attacking until you've defeated the enemy, but pay careful attention to your stamina. That's it for now. Did you get all that?
Oh no, she's turned into the owl from Ocarina of Time. Yes, we got all that.
Okay. Then I want you to defeat the enemy before you. Try using both the skill and attack options.
Now, when Mitsuru said pay attention to your stamina, she means it. One of the most annoying things about this game's battle system is that if the main character goes down, it is an instant game over. That can get problematic for one other reason that will become apparent once we start attacking this enemy. You can also hold the R1 button to see the turn order. It's Gary Stu first, then Junpei, then the Shadow will get to attack, and then Yukari. Let's first try a regular attack on this cowardly Maya.
That one just won't die.
So, we saw how Junpei's persona works there.
This thing won't give up!
So regular attacks, as you see, don't do nearly as much damage as Persona skills, but at this point we don't really have, well, this enemy is low on health, so we don't really have much reason to use a Persona skill here. Now, the other thing you need to know about this game, and one thing that a lot of people find kind of annoying, your teammates are all AI controlled. You only have very limited control of what they do by using this tactics option to give them basic instructions. Also, Mitsuru's here too, but her role will be explained in more detail later. At the moment, we can tell people to act freely, heal/support, or attack a specified target, or just do nothing. Their AI is not terrible if you instruct them the right way.
A complete victory. Great job.
But it can get annoying sometimes, especially if you desperately need healing. We also got an item out of that battle. Snuff Soul increases your SP. SP healing items are very rare, actually, and quite expensive to buy in stores, so you might want to save them for emergencies. Now, we can see the staircase there, which is the way to the next floor, but for now, we're not allowed to use it. So we need to remember for next time. Just like any other Mystery Dungeon style game, you don't know where the stairs are on each floor. So once you find them, you better remember where they are. Another shadow ahead. So if you let the enemy hit you before you get a chance to hit it, you might get a disadvantage. Of course, on hard mode, enemies can randomly get preemptive strikes on you even if you hit them first. Yeah, they're that sadistic. I learned that the hard way when I did a test run of this on hard mode. Yeah, so if you strike them first, you'll gain the initiative, but if they hit first, the opposite will occur. Like I said, on hard mode, the enemy cheats and can sometimes get the initiative even if you hit first. So, let's sneak up on this guy. Okay, when an enemy has an exclamation mark above their head, it means they're coming right at you. Weapons have specific ranges. Every weapon type has its own range on the map screen, so you need to remember that.
Now's a good time for me to explain about attack properties, which are important to consider during battle. Do you want to know more?
This is a very, very important aspect about this game's combat system. I highly recommend you listen to this tutorial if you haven't played a Persona or Shin Megami Tensei game before.
Nearly every type of attack is associated with a particular property. For example, swords can be used to do slash attacks, while bows are used to do pierce attacks.
This is important. Physical attacks are divided into elements in this game. You have slash, strike, and pierce, each one corresponding to a different type of weapon. So in addition to the magical elements, you also have physical elements. So bear that in mind, in case you end up healing an enemy with your physical attacks, which can happen.
Skills, on the other hand, have different properties. Bufu, for instance, indicates an ice attack.
There's a reason why Mitsuru is describing ice attacks, but we'll find out about that later.
Now, most enemies are vulnerable to certain types of attacks. In other words, they have weaknesses.
Like in most RPGs, enemies have elemental weaknesses, but in this game, they're really, really important. Weaknesses and resistances form the very core of this game's battle system, and what makes it quite interesting when it comes to turn-based RPGs. It's a very interesting way of spicing things up.
A fire skill will deal greater damage to an enemy that's weak against fire.
Now, while hitting weaknesses deals greater damage, that's not the main benefit of hitting weaknesses.
With my power, I can analyze an enemy to determine its weaknesses and strengths. That falls under tactics.
Mitsuru has the ability to scan enemies, which is very useful because they'll let you know their weaknesses. It'll also let your AI party members know their weaknesses, so they don't be derps and hit enemies with things they resist. So the first time you analyze an enemy, you'll have to wait a couple of turns before Mitsuru's scan goes through. What this means is, at this point in the game, you don't want to kill the enemies too quickly, because otherwise you won't get the scans on them. So... And once again, more owl dialogue.
The enemies you're facing have a weakness that you can exploit. Why don't you give it a try?
So you press the L1 button to check enemies, and if they have a question mark, it means you'd never scanned them before. Press the X button,
Roger. I'll attempt to analyze the enemy.
And you'll issue a scan order to Mitsuru. Make sure you do this on every enemy that you've never seen before, because like I said, it helps your AI attacks targeted properly. Now, these enemies have a weakness. We only have two elements available to us. We knew from an earlier battle with these things they're not weak to bash, so let's try Argy. When you see the main character or anyone else yell out the name of their persona, that means you've hit an enemy's weakness or got a critical hit. But, as you can see, not only did that attack do more damage, this enemy has also gone down and we get an additional turn. And this is the very core of this game's battle system. We're not supposed to fully know about how it works just yet, so for now, I'll just pile on this guy, because I want my analysis to go through on the other one. That was a critical hit. A critical hit will also give you an additional attack, like you've hit an enemy's weakness. The scan's gone through, and as we can see, Cowardly Mayas are in fact weak to fire. Now that we know that, any AI party members with fire attacks will... Nice one, Junpei! Junpei's the man. He always is. Revival Bead, that's a useful item to get. Revives a character who's unconscious. Of course, if the protagonist goes unconscious, it's already too late. You've already lost. Which is annoying. Yeah, one of these things about the game's battle system that can be kind of annoying. There's another enemy coming up. It's around the corner. The minimap's useful for this, but as he is rotating the camera, so we can get a good view of this guy... Aha! Gotcha!
Were you able to exploit the enemy's weakness in the last battle?
Well, yep, we were.
If you didn't already notice, doing so will also grant you an additional attack.
This is the main benefit to using the weakness system in this game. These extra turns can be really important. However, bear in mind that enemies can use this too. If you pay close attention to our persona status screens, you would have noticed that our characters have weaknesses too, and this is really important. If you get hit by your weakness, the enemy gets an extra turn. And this can lead to the tide of battle turning really, really badly against you.
Would you like more details?
Yes, we'd like more details.
An enemy will lose its balance if you exploit its weakness or land a critical hit.
In addition to getting an extra turn, you also knock the enemy off balance and make them lose their next turn. They also take more damage when they're knocked down.
This will give you the opportunity to perform an additional action. In other words, you'll get to do one more thing. You can keep attacking the same enemy, or if you prefer, attack a different target. And if you succeed in knocking another enemy off balance, then you can act yet again.
You can basically chain these additional attacks the more weaknesses you hit, which is why it can be important if there's a lot of enemies who are weak to the same thing. Bear in mind though, multi-targeting skills in this game will only give you a one more if they hit a weakness of all enemies on the field at once. So if any one enemy is not weak to that element, or if it misses one of them, you don't get the one more.
Which means you can remain on the offensive for as long as you can keep this up. This strategy is essential to securing victory.
And the enemies will be abusing this too.
However, remember this. An enemy that's already lost its balance cannot be knocked off balance again.
In fact, attacking an enemy that's knocked down will immediately make it stand up.
You can't knock down someone who's lying on the ground, right? It's the same idea. Now, to knock an enemy off balance, you need to know its weaknesses.
Which we already do in the case of these things.
So don't hesitate to ask me for an analysis. I'll be sure to share the results with the others as well.
And by share the results with the others, she means not make the AI allies be total derps.
Got it?
Yep, we got it.
Then proceed with the battle. Use what you've learned to quickly dispose of the enemy.
There's one more thing about the game's weakness system that we haven't fully covered yet, and we're probably going to be seeing it in this battle. Let's go for some fire attacks on these guys.
You attacked the enemy's weak point.
Let's go for this one now. Always a good idea to spread this around. When one enemy is knocked down, try and knock down the others, because...
The enemy is vulnerable. Attack.
Because there's a benefit to knocking down every enemy at once.
A wisely chosen attack. Here's our chance for an all-out attack.
If all enemies are down at the same time, one of your party members will prompt you to do this. If you say yes to them...
Let me at him.
we unleash an attack that deals heavy physical damage to all enemies on the field.
Stronger.
Now, This is what Igor said about the possibilities appearing before you when you defeat enemies. Defeating enemies with an all-out attack, or having the protagonist be the one to finish the battle, increases the chances of you getting this. This is called shuffle time. Now, this will let you either get additional benefits, such as getting better dropped items from enemies, healing you a little bit, or getting more experience or money. But sometimes there'll be a card with a persona on it, and if you pick that, you'll get a new persona. In this case, see that fairy card? We want that. We really want that. If you're doing a max social links run, make sure you try and grab that here if possible. So, let's watch these cards carefully. Okay, it's still in the first spot. We've chosen the persona Pixie. We now have a new persona. And not only that, but we've leveled up. In fact...
Yes! My skill level has increased!
Ta-da-da-da! I'm the man!
Junpei is so awesome that he hummed his own level up theme. So, if your party members level up, you'll see them tell you after the battle. And I believe with that level up, Junpei may have learned a new skill. Actually, no, he needs to wait till level 5. We've got another medicine. These actually might be kind of important. Speaking of important, though, might want to check that persona we just got. So, we now have level 2 Pixie in addition to Orpheus. Pixie is of the Lover's Arcana, has slightly different stats to Orpheus, as you can see, a little bit more magic and luck, and has no weaknesses and is strong against thunder. That's very, very helpful. In fact, if your main character has no weaknesses, that is a very good thing. However, to compensate, Pixie doesn't actually have any offensive skills to start with. It only has Dia, a basic healing spell. So, bear that in mind. We actually want Pixie for a different reason, though, than its combat abilities. You'll see. Now, we can either use healing items to patch ourselves up, or, if you have a party member who has healing abilities, you can actually talk to them while exploring Tartarus, like Yukari here, and request healing. This will cost them some SP, though. So Yukari just used her persona to heal us. Yukari is basically the medic of the team. At least for now. Well, we've got lots of enemies here.
There is a better way to defeat all of your enemies in battle than to attack them individually. You can perform an all-out attack. Would you care to hear more about this?
Now, we already saw that last time, but let's hear this explanation just in case.
When enemies are thrown off balance, they become vulnerable. An all-out attack will allow your entire team to attack simultaneously. Your enemies will be unable to defend against it. It's a very reliable method of attack.
Now, what this means is that even if the enemies are resistant to the physical elements of the weapons you have currently equipped, the all-out attack will still damage them. In terms that veterans of this series will understand, the all-out attack is counted as a physical almighty-based attack. I'll explain more about almighty attacks later.
Whether or not you want to perform an all-out attack is up to you. But remember, you cannot perform it when you're alone.
Yep, you need allies to perform an all-out attack. Now, if any of your allies are incapacitated, either knocked out or affected with a status that prevents them from moving, they can't participate in the all-out attack and it'll be weaker.
So if you want to have it in your arsenal, make sure your team is comprised of at least 2 members.
When will your team not be comprised of at least 2 members? Well, we're going to be getting to that soon.
That's all you need to know about all-out attacks. Do you understand what I've just explained to you?
Well, the only other thing we need to know is that, once again, defeating enemies with an all-out attack increases the chances of shuffle time.
Then, that concludes the basics of battle. But there's one last thing I need to tell you. Shadows become stronger the further you advance. If you don't think you can win a battle, retreat at once.
So, obviously, there's a run option.
There may be times, however, when an escape will be impossible.
As in if you're facing a boss.
This battle is one of those times. Good luck.
Or if you're in a tutorial. I love how she's just like, there might be times when you can't escape from battle. Oh, by the way, this is one of them. Good luck!
The enemy is vulnerable. Keep going.
So at the moment, our protagonist is the only one who's able to hit enemies' weaknesses, but our other party members will learn the ability to do that soon enough. At level 5, Junpei will be able to use Agi. Of course, physical attacks can also knock enemies down if they critical. If that sounds unreliable to you, it's actually not really. There are a lot of ways in this game to greatly boost your critical rate, so you'll need to be aware of that.
You attacked the enemy's weak point.
Here's our chance for
Now we can go for that all-out attack. Let's go. Now, something about the all-out attack. If you just see the protagonists run in, and none of them get knocked out of that giant dust cloud, the enemies are all dead from that attack. If they start getting knocked back, then that means that the enemies survive the all-out attack. Now here, we already have Pixie. You can never have more than one of a persona at any one time. So if we pick that card, nothing will happen. So we've got to go for that sword. The shuffling is quite easy to follow at this point in the game, but the further you go up in Tartarus, the harder it'll go, and we also have a time limit. So, we picked a rank 1 sword card. We get a practice bow. These cards give you new weapons, but I think Yukari already has that, so that was useless. Later on in Tartarus, we'll get better weapons.
My skill level has increased.
But we've...
Da-da-da-da! Junpei is leveled up!
one of the most iconic lines in this whole game to most people who played it. Okay, so we're pretty much done for today. Every floor of Tartarus has an access point that lets you escape, though normally you don't actually want to use this unless it's a last resort, since if you do this, your progress in Tartarus effectively won't count. You'll understand what that means a bit later. Basically, you won't be able to pick up where you left off. Oh boy, this mechanic. So, we're being introduced to the split up mechanic. We can press the square button to tell our allies to split up, but splitting up is a terrible idea. Let's not do it. Really? We're being forced to use this command. Okay, Mitsuru. Square button, split up. Normally, I recommend that you never, ever, ever, ever use the split up option. It's a terrible idea. Remember how Mitsuru said that you can't perform the all-out attack when you're alone? Yeah, that's why you don't split up. You will be heavily crippled in battle without teammates. And that goes for your teammates too. They will sometimes run into shadows on their own if they're split up. And very often, that means they're probably going to die, because unless you get to them and help them very quickly. Usually, splitting up is a terrible idea.
Everyone, spread out and proceed individually.
It helps you explore more of the floor, but when there are enemies around, don't do it. Now, Yukari's found the access points. If that happens, you do have the option to immediately use the access point. Sometimes if you split up, your party members will tell you they've found the stairs as well. For now, though, let's see what Junpei can find.
Okay, then I'll look around some more.
Woot! Check out my fat loot!
That means Junpei found a treasure chest. And if you think he's just stolen whatever's in it, let's see what happens if we regroup. Because they're all being idiots right now. Regroup.
Everyone, return to the leader.
So, once you issue a regroup order... at the moment... nothing seems to happen if we talk to Junpei for now, but after we leave the floor via this access point... Junpei is going to give us the item that he found in the chest, so don't worry, you won't lose items forever if your teammates grab them before you do. And another Snuff Soul. Now, the chests in Tartarus are random. Sometimes you can find yen during this tutorial, and yen is very important in a max social links run.
Welcome back.
For now, though, we want to hold on to these items we found, and we may actually need to sell a few if we're really desperate. Like I said, yen is very important if you're going for max social links, and most of your time exploring Tartarus is actually going to be done to find money.
So, how was it?
It was pretty good. I'd say no problem.
I see. Well, if you gained confidence, that's the best thing you could have achieved.
I just hope the other two gain confidence.
Wow, I never knew I had that kind of power.
Well, he seems to have certainly gained confidence.
We kicked some ass. But damn, I'm beat.
That's because you were bouncing around like a little kid.
Yeah, you look pretty tired yourself, Yucatan.
I'm still trying to catch my breath, actually.
That's the effect of the dark hour. You'll become fatigued more easily.
This is the introduction to another mechanic of this game. If you fight for too long in Tartarus, your characters will get tired. This is this game's anti-grinding measures.
Don't worry, though. You'll adapt.
Though the further you go in Tartarus, the more stamina your characters basically have, the longer it takes for them to get tired.
But I'm surprised. You all did much better than I expected.
We got 2 level ups for our other party members, I'd say that's pretty good.
At this rate, they'll catch up to you in no time, Akihiko.
Of course, Akihiko's playing the Jagan here.
We'll see about that.
And, for all that, Mysterious Voice is back again. Only this time we know what card it's talking about. The Seer's social link has reached rank 2. We can now create stronger personas of the full Arcana. And so ends a fairly long day. For now, we can't actually continue exploring Tartarus because they're too tired. When your party members are tired, they won't actually accompany you into Tartarus, so that's not good. There's one more thing we can actually do now, and that's go in here. Now that we have a second persona, we can finally understand what this place is really all about. And non-cutscene visits here are not voice acted. Now it's time to explain what Igor does. It's his job to create new personas. But in order to do so, we have to fuse together existing personas. This is a very big part of this game. Approximately 170 personas. Some of them require special things to unlock though, and that's the point of this max social link run. The higher your social links, the stronger personas you'll be able to create. Once again, there are some personas that you might not even be able to create at all without certain social links at a high enough level. We currently only have 2 persona cards, and our only option here is to fuse personas. We can either do a normal spread or a triangle spread. Normal will let us fuse these 2 personas together, Orpheus and Pixie. This will result in a new persona, Apsaris of the Priestess Arcana, and as you can see, it's going to inherit Orpheus's Bash skill. Whenever you fuse a new persona, it inherits skills from its quote-unquote parent personas. Also, personas that you fuse yourself in the Velvet Room are, for both this reason and another reason that I'll get to later, tend to be stronger than the ones that you get via shuffle time. So, if I made a Pixie myself, it'd probably be better than this one I've got. Now, you might also be wondering, wait a second. Orpheus is the protagonist's starting persona. It's like the one that's most iconic to him. And yet, I can fuse it away right now. Yes, you can. In fact, it's kind of recommended that you ditch Orpheus kind of quickly because he's actually not that good in the grand scheme of things. Though we'll have to wait until Orpheus reaches at least level 6 to get Taru Unda, then we can safely fuse him. At the moment though, I don't recommend you do this fusion because we can actually get Apsaris in shuffle time in Tartarus anyway. So, it's a lot easier to get Apsaris later. And at the moment, we don't really need Pixie or Apsaris. We need both of them at the same time. If that doesn't make sense to you, it will the next time that we explore Tartarus of our own free will, where I'm going to really have to talk about some important things for a max social link run. There's also a triangle spread, which lets you fuse 3 personas, but we don't even have 3 at this point. Also, you cannot create a persona that is higher level than your main character's level. So this Tartarus is exactly the right level for us to use. We can also talk to find a little bit about the basics of fusion. Fusion accidents. This is why you always want to save before you go in here. But again, this is stuff that I'll explain more about later, because for now we don't really need to do any fusion. We just need to know that this option even exists. Let's leave for now. For now, though, I think we've got a pretty good idea of just how Tartarus works. So, next time we'll be returning back to everyday life, when we're going to have our introduction to the real meat of this playthrough. Oh, there's a lot I'm going to have to explain starting next part. This is what I'd like to call the end of the prologue portion of the game. It's not until the 21st of April that you actually have the ability to really choose what you do with your day. And that's where this Max Social Links run really kicks off. So, I'll see you in that episode when we learn about the ins and outs of socializing.